When I was first made aware of allegations against yet another famous Jiu Jitsu coach, I was expecting a sadly familiar story. What emerged were allegations far more serious, involving the killing of an unarmed man in front of his family, connections to the murder of a young mother, a case in which police reportedly received a note predicting how she would die, and the use of a social project to abuse children for a period of more than 13 years. And the man facing these allegations is Melqui Galvão. There is a city in the middle of the Amazon rainforest. 2 million people, surrounded on all sides by water and trees. His name was Fernando Pontes. He was 25 years old. He had 2 children.
What was supposed to be a search and seizure operation ended with the death of a man in his home in front of his own family.
Officers from the Amazonas police force say the man tried to resist.
Why are you afraid of the police?
Because they killed my dad.
On the 12th of May 2011, an elite police unit called the Grupo Ferret arrived at his home in Presidente Figueiredo. A member of the Ministerio Publicio was present, and that person had a camera. The footage that camera captured was aired on national television.
The video of the police action was recorded by members of the public prosecutor's office. It proves the businessman was unarmed when opening the bedroom door and shows that moments after his death, there was no weapon on the bed. Only minutes later does it appear.
They issued a search and seizure, and the guys took advantage because they wanted to kill him. They executed my son.
4 charged, 2 arrested, then nothing. 2 of the officers were promoted. Fernando Pontes had a wife. Her name is Ariana. She has worn a mourning bracelet on her wrist since the day he died. She described what happened inside the bathroom she hid in while police officers shot to death her husband.
They pushed him onto the bed and started shooting at him.
Their daughter was also in that bathroom. She later told her mother she regrets she didn't run out to tell him she loved him. She was certain he could still hear her. His daughter, Diamel, for 15 years, has been publicly asking for someone to be held responsible. And in 2022, 11 years after the murder of Fernando Pontes, one of the officers charged with shooting him was even given a certificate of honor by that very same police force. If you're confused as to why nothing happened following the death of Fernando Pontes, why I need to explain a few things about Civil de Amazonas police force. Mario Nunes was the chief of the police force at the time of Fernando Pontes' death. Cesar Nunes was a base-level investigator who sought to become a Delgado, a promotion that would allow him to lead investigations. Cesar failed the Delgado test. His father changed his score results, along with the results of 4 other investigators. This was a massive controversy and it led to the resignation of Mario Nunes, the chief of police. I want you to remember that name. But why is this relevant to the death of Fernando Pontes? Because Cesar Nunes, 4 months after becoming a Delgado, commanded the operation that resulted in the death of Fernando Pontes. And people questioned the integrity of this investigation because we were investigating the son of the chief of the police for the entire Amazon, Mario Nunes. The same year Fernando Pontes was killed, 2011, a police investigator in Manaus started a charity for vulnerable children, named after a local student who had died in street violence. He trained them in Jiu Jitsu, he built them into athletes. The program even produced world champions. The Jiu Jitsu world saw this as proof that Jiu Jitsu changes lives, a miracle from the Amazon. His name is Melqui Galvão, a civil police investigator from Manaus. Not just any police investigator, he's one of the 2 officers arrested for the murder of Fernando Pontes. Melqui Galvão later admitted that he was the officer to fire first. Records indicate that despite being fully dedicated to his social program that grew into another location thousands of kilometers away from Manaus in the city of Sao Paulo, he remained on police salary.
Oh, so you only work here?
Only here.
You don't fulfill your shifts at the Farah Group anymore?
I will not give any more interviews.
If you think this is a story about a police officer who was accused of involvement in a killing, this is sadly just the beginning.
It all started when I was 12 years old. That's when I learned about his project. And the purpose of this project was train his son, right? So he took advantage of the fact that he had a space.
The project was free. That was the point.
We lived in a very precarious situation. Many times I didn't have anything to eat,
These were children from communities where families could not afford the training fee. The project was their only choice.
Yeah, he said, obeyed him, I would have a great future, that I would be a great champion, I would be able to change my family's history, to be able to help my mother financially.
Investigators described what they believed was happening inside it. Quote, he took advantage of the vulnerability of these children who dreamed of building a career.
Gave us kimonos and registration fees, got sponsorships, all those things. I remember I even went to school. I studied at a private school, right? The same school as his children. He got a scholarship for me.
Then he charged for them.
The day came, right, when I had to pay for all of that. Because he came to me and said it wasn't free, that I would have to pay, and I paid in the worst possible way. I'm making this video for my sister. He abused my sister too. He raped her too. Just like he did to me. In my head, I thought it was just me, living through that hell. But it wasn't. Others were living it too, right?
If you report me, I'll know, because I'm a police officer. One woman says he told her this when she was 12 years old. She stayed silent for 14 years. The project produced real champions. Melqui Galvao's own son, Mica Galvão, is one of the most gifted grapplers in the world. He grew up inside this project. Everything I'm about to describe comes from a video Mica himself chose to publish. In May of this year, he released it. It was 20 minutes long. He didn't edit out the pauses. He described watching his father hit his sister.
I got a few beatings, but my sister got a lot more, even more.
He described slaps that drew blood. He described a knife and a gun pointed at him at 14 years old.
I was met with a slap. I took the slap, saw that it didn't move much, and then the things that came out of my mouth were, oh, you think you're so strong? I don't know what. What? I can shoot you in the head if you want. Obviously, afterwards, there was an apology, but these things stayed. My head, they accumulated. How can someone possibly hide that for so long? How could a person take and mask what they were doing for so long? Because neither my mother nor my sister saw anything. When I went to a competition, when I needed to do something, when I needed to make a decision, I always called my mother. I always talked to my mother. Mom, what do you think? Mom, I don't know what. And my mother, always with a very strong spirit, a very God-fearing person, a person who always gave me so much affection.
To be clear, at this stage, there is no evidence to suggest that Mica Galvão was involved in any of the alleged criminal conduct attributed to his father. He is a witness to a childhood he did not choose. His partner is Epilogue, Olympic champion. She released a public statement. She described Melqui Galvão's household as a culture of fear, extreme control, and intimidation. She said she was proud of the women who came forward. In February of this year, a 17-year-old athlete flew to Rome to compete. She was with her team. She was with her coach.
She had been the victim of lewd acts committed by the suspect, Melqui. On a trip between some cities there, she fell asleep in the car and, according to her, woke up with his hand under her shirt.
She was 17 years old, in a foreign country, with the man entrusted to protect her.
The young woman's family provided important evidence, including messages and an audio recording. I touched her stomach. I touched it quickly. I thought she was sleeping for about 3 seconds, maybe at most. I deeply regret that. I deeply regret having done that. totally distressed about sleeping last night because of what I did, right? I think nothing justifies it. Nothing can justify my behavior. I, as a leader, as a guy who is already of a certain age, shouldn't have behaved that way with my daughter. Some of the ways she treated me was different from how a student and a teacher would treat me. She treated me in a way that none of my students ever treated me. This led me to believe that there was something there beyond a simple student-teacher relationship. I promise that if she stays here at least until the World Championship, where she'll receive her belt, I won't even go. I won't touch her, I won't talk to her, I won't mistreat her. In the material, the coach indirectly admits to the incident and attempts to negotiate silence. The coach claims to have acquaintances who could obtain documents so that their children could be born in the United States. Today, I have an investor, a person with money there, who will even have documentation. And I already told this person that whoever goes there is one of my students.
He gets close to these victims and sells them this dream. From there, he begins to control their behavior, to dominate them. He starts to exert this manipulation, even placing the responsibility for any potential harm to his team of employees on the shoulders of the victim and her family.
We generate almost 100 jobs. I made sure to leave some records, written, so that you can use them against me as well.
He then made a series of threats against staff, against his own life, that we've chosen not to air in detail. Quote, "Next week, there's the Curitiba Open. Just tell me the place, I'll be there. People will think it's a robbery."
The victims who were heard mentioned that he did use his status as a civil police officer to instill fear, and the fact that he possessed a weapon to instill even more fear, to prevent any kind of complaint. We have identified and heard from at least 2 more victims, in addition to other witnesses, who indicate that this seems to be a pattern of his behavior.
April 23rd, 2026, an arrest warrant is issued in Sao Paulo. April 28, 2026, Melqui Galvão surrenders in Manaus. He is still drawing a police salary.
Team civil police officers searched properties linked to coach Mica Galvão. At the addresses, agents found cell phones, computers, and even a firearm was seized.
Investigators allege that after 4 days in detention, his brother Anoke got him a cell phone.
This is Melqui Galvão. He is threatening a victim to prevent further complaints, including coercing, including victims to change their testimony.
He wanted that witness to go to Manaus police and say that him and Livia made everything up. In recordings that have since become public, he told this witness, "We need something intimate to show the judge she's not an innocent girl."
When an abuser receives a cell phone and help inside a prison to threaten the victim, how can that victim feel comfortable, have the courage to report it, especially since he's a police officer, someone who carries a weapon?
That witness did not comply and is now also listed as a victim. May 7, 2026, he is transferred to Sao Paulo, 2,000 kilometers south, a different state, a different prison, away from the network. May 26, 2026, a court orders his continued detention. Reason: interference with witnesses. That same day, his brother, Anoke Galvão, is arrested in Manaus. Anoke Galvão is also a civil police officer. He is charged with the same crimes against 2 girls from the exact same project. 9 women have filed police reports. The youngest to make a public statement was only 12 years old when the abuse began.
Since then, he's continued messaging me, making me offers that he'd give me a gym and everything, maybe a champion in major competitions and all that. That's why I'm telling you that it's been 14 years of torture, mental and physical torture, right?
The Sunday before he was arrested, he was still liking her photos on Instagram, and she's one of 9. And then again, on June 25th, a second phone was seized from his cell in a completely different prison. Investigators allege that it was again being used for witness interference.
He is a very well-prepared police officer from a physical and tactical point of view. I really fear for my safety, and your excellencies have been telling me to reinforce security for a long time. and I will accept it this time.
His lawyers have since sought house arrest. At the news of this, a victim asked, if he gets house arrest, where do we go? In 2006, a woman walked into a police station. She had a handwritten note and it contained concerns about her husband. She had suffered several threats from this man. These threats were witnessed by their daughter. He said one day he would put a bullet in my head and wouldn't even look back. August 11, 2007, she was shot dead in front of her house and in front of her daughter. The husband she was fearing was Melqui Galvão. The man in charge of this murder investigation was Mario Nunes, the same Mario whose son commanded the operation that resulted in the death of Fernando Pontes. To this day, no one has ever been charged in relation to the murder of Sarah Lima D'Souza, Melqui Galvão's first wife and the mother of his only daughter. 3 months ago, I was introduced to attorney Helen Gambari. She's Brazilian and she's based in Orlando. She represents several of the women involved in these proceedings. Before publishing this video, I asked her to identify anything that should not be published while the criminal case remains before the courts. I'm making this because I believe more people should know the full depth of this story. His first instruction hearing is October 20th, 2026. If you're a journalist, please give this the attention it deserves. If you're not, please share this and let's make enough noise that we can finally get some justice and close this chapter for the victims in the case. I'm a part of the Fair Fire Foundation, and in conjunction with Guardian, we actually do have social programs all around the world. We have 36 schools around the world, and we do what Melqui Galvão told people he was doing. We provide Jiu Jitsu instruction to give kids self-confidence. Some of them have English lessons. We provide food and water. We truly try to help kids around the world, and I've visited many of these locations. These are some of the most vulnerable children, the most looked past children. When they step on the mats and they learn Jiu Jitsu, it might not seem much to people that don't train, but it's the only time in their life where they feel noticed, they develop skills, and can get self-confidence. And to take advantage of that is one of the most sickening, disgusting thoughts I could ever imagine. I should not be celebrated for doing this. I'm merely answering the call from victims and victims' families. If you can listen to stories like this and not help, don't know what to say.